All right. Time for another Josh cast. Mom update. Still in the hospital. And I've talked to her twice now. And I guess the jury's kind of... Excuse me, I just burped. That's... I don't mean to show disrespect to my mother. I just finished eating a acai bowl. It's been my habit now to eat that at the end of the night. And I am burping that up while I'm trying to have a discussion here about how my mother is doing. And she... how is she doing? Well, she is either... Well, she's had multiple concussions because she's fallen a lot. Multiple concussions. There we go. I'm pronouncing the word correctly. Because she's fallen a lot. And she had been drinking, is not drinking anymore, but the alcohol might have also be affecting her mental state. And I don't know, some are saying, could this be the beginning of dementia? And we don't know because, she's still recovering. So she might make a full 100% recovery and be back to the way she was before, or this might be the beginning of a sustained period of gradual decline. We don't know. And it's interesting that I'm choosing to talk about this in a podcast that's designed specifically to be comedic in nature. But what I find is that when I am vulnerable and when I'm talking about stuff that's actually happening that is affecting me, it tends to lead to funnier stuff. Now, I may still be too much in it to find the funnier stuff, but I like to use humor to deal with it, and I like to turn it into something. And my mom has a sense of humor, and I guess it's win-win, because if she recovers and she's listening to this and she's experiencing this, hopefully she and I will laugh together about it, and she will find it funny. If she doesn't recover and she loses her mind, well, it really doesn't matter, does it? I can say whatever I want. She's not going to be able to recognize it. So really, I'd like to think of this as a win-win. Then the thought crosses my mind, am I exploiting the pain that my mother and myself and my family are going through for the sake of social media attention? And the answer is yes! Overwhelmingly, yes. The social media interaction is better. I hate to say it. So, what I'd like to propose to my mother, if she's listening to this and getting irritated with why are you, sharing all of our private stuff online? Well, if it builds enough of a following, I might be able to make money as a comedian and then use that money to get you a nicer assisted living instead of a crappier assisted living. So, if anything, you should be rooting for me to spill every little detail. Because this could eventually lead to paying for the nice nurse, not the cheap, crappy nurse. Because I started to panic, and I was going online and I was Googling assisted living. And the first question it asked me is, are you spending $2,000 a month or more on assisted living, or $2,000 a month or less? And I feel like it is asking me, are you spending $2,000 or more, or you want us to just kill your parents? Those are the choices. If it's, give us $50, we'll get a rock. Don't worry, it'll be sharp. That's what's piercing through my mind as I'm talking about this. So I've had two conversations with her And in both conversations, she's been very, there's been a lot of anger. Whenever I ask how she's doing, she gets angry. She doesn't want to talk about how she's doing. She wants to focus on how I'm doing. And she's used to being my therapist, and I'm used to having her as a therapist. I'm used to being able to talk to her about anything. And it's what I'm finding as I'm talking to her is that, number one, she's hard of hearing, so I'm having to shout into the phone, which is fine. That's okay. I enjoy shouting into the phone. It's not fine. To be honest, it's a tad annoying. I'm finding I have to slow down and I have to shout into the phone, and I can't talk as fast. I've got to slow down so that she can hear what I am saying. And the problem is that it's a lot harder when I'm slowing down and articulating. It's a lot harder for me to spin out and have a nervous breakdown with her on the phone, which is why I'm calling her. It's forcing me to be calm and cool and collected. And that's not what I want. I want to be able to call her hysterical. That's the fun of it. Doesn't she understand this? But when I talked to her today, I think she followed along mostly, but I could tell that she was tired. And I sensed that she was tired. And it seemed like either she wasn't hearing the question that I was asking or she wasn't understanding the question I was asking. I don't know which. And I've been spending the rest of the day feeling very sad about it because I'm realizing that slowly but surely I'm losing the ability to talk to the only person in the world who will listen to me for an extended period of time. And that's what's really hard for me to deal with right now. That's what's sad. Is that I may be, what I'm faced with is, am I losing her? And what I tend to do, here's my habit, what I tend to do is that if I think I'm losing someone, I actually talk to them less. Because I'm so afraid of losing them, it's too hard to be there at the end. And my tendency is to shut her out, and I'm trying not to do that. But it is very hard to, the thought of losing her is terrifying to me. Because I love her, and it's going to be the loss of a human being, and it's also going to be the loss of a lot of material. Because every single time we have a conversation and she says something, it's like 5 new minutes for me. I've heard other comedians talk about this with their parents, and I know that it's true. What were the things the highlights of the discussion we had today? Was her saying, "I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is bad." She's describing the state of her health the way Scotty is shouting into the communications system to the captain. "Captain, she cannot take the strain, Captain!" That's what I feel like she's reporting to me about her situation. "I'm not going to sugarcoat it, Josh. It's bad. We'll see." She's almost irritated that I'm asking her how she's doing. And that's kind of hilarious to me. I am, how long have I been talking about this? 9 minutes and 23 seconds. I try to do 20-minute podcasts. We've managed to cover this in basically half the podcast about this. That's something. What am I discovering about this? What am I discovering about myself? I am finding that I am emotional, that the emotion kind of comes and goes. And I was, I'll be having a conversation with someone or, watching a show or something, and then just in the middle of it, my mind just drifts to this. and I'm overcome with grief. And I'm there, and then I kind of float back into the conversation. And maybe that's the other thing, too, is that I'm acting like she's already dead, and she's not already dead. I got to remind myself of this. I'm skipping a few steps here. She's very much alive, doing better, going to go home from the hospital in a month, or not in a month, in a week. There is a recovery process. She is recovering. She is doing better than she was when she went into the hospital. She's on the upswing. And I'm acting like she's already gone. See, I always live in the future. But I guess what's heartbreaking to me is that what if mentally we're never going to recover here? That's the part of it that I find really strikingly sad. That's the part of it that's affecting me. And the realization that there is no one else. I mean, there's my dad. There is my dad. So that's not true either. It's not true that there's no one else. What else am I going to talk about? Because the other thing going through my mind is, what if she's listening to this in the future? And, well, maybe, you know what? I should use this as an advantage. Because there are things I can say here where she can listen to it and get angry. And I don't need to be in the room. So this could be a really good way of transmitting, of communicating without having to deal with the rage. Some people have a one-on-one relationship with their parents. Other people will podcast about them, and their parents can subscribe to the podcast and listen to it, and then we can avoid the nasty back and forth that occurs in a normal relationship. And this could be healthier for everybody. Now, she can listen to this and get really furious and go away and come back, and then by the time we talk again, she will have processed it. When in reality, by the time we talk again, she will still be in a rage. I haven't even said what's going to really be in a rage. So right now, here we go. We're going to jump right in. She's not been talking to her sister. She and her sister are not talking. Her sister, my Aunt Kathy. I have been talking to Kathy. I've been talking to Kathy about my mother. My view on it is I want to have a relationship with my aunt. If my mother doesn't, that is fair. But I'm going to talk to everyone about this. I'm not going to keep it a secret. For two reasons. Number one, my mom was sick several years ago. She was in the hospital. And I was told, you have to keep it a secret. You have to keep it a secret. So I walked around keeping it a secret. And I hated doing that. And so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to talk about it. Because I think that if I keep it a secret and I don't talk about it with anybody, then it sits in my psyche and nothing happens and I don't deal with it. And I want to deal with it. I want to process with it. I want to cry instead of shutting down by not telling anybody. So I tell everybody now. That's my plan. I am telling everybody. 100% transparency for number one. And number two, I want the followers. Am I exploiting the tragedy of our family for the sake of followers? Absolutely. It's got to be good for something, right? And because from what I've learned, all of this is way more interesting than anything I could invent. I can't invent this. You want to know what I can't invent? Here's what I cannot invent. That is just so true and so horrible and so hilarious. My mother refuses to talk to my aunt. My mother, at this point, requires aggressive physical therapy in order to make a recovery. My aunt is the one person in my family who is a physical therapist, who is retired. She's not doing anything. She's ready, willing, and able to provide physical therapy. Of all the members of my family, who does my mom not want to talk to? The physical therapist. Let this be a lesson to all of you. If you have a family member who's a physical therapist, be nice to that person. No matter how it, whatever your issue is with them. Physical therapists, lawyers, be nice to them. Because you never know when you're going to need them. We have no healthcare system, people. We have no healthcare system. The healthcare system is this: be independently wealthy, or there is no healthcare system. If you have a friend, and they're, this friend, and the last thing you want to do is talk to the friend, and they go on and on and on and on and on, but they're a physical therapist, let them go on. Let them go on. Look at it this way. Either you let them go on and on and on, and let them be their friend, and be friends with them and deal with that, or you pay a $9 million deductible every month. Pick! You know what this is teaching me about America? You know why I want to be so wealthy? Because wealth enables me to not have relationships with people. If I was independently wealthy and I could pay everyone for everything, I wouldn't need to have a good relationship. Wealth buys true independence. By the way, I'm not saying that my aunt is annoying. I don't know what is going on between my aunt and my mother. I don't want to know what's going on between them. I hear both sides, and that tells me I know even less. But I do think it is hilarious. The physical therapist, the one person in the family who is the physical therapist who has time to help. So my father now has to manage my mother. He's been managing my mother. He's become my mother's nurse. Which, I gotta say, might just be karma. Because my mom always cleaned the house and always made dinner for my dad. And my dad, he was the breadwinner. And he still is. He works all day. But, my mom she cleaned the house and she made dinner. And maybe this is the universe going, well, it's your turn to clean the house and make dinner. And that's the irony for you. I'm worried about him. He's stressed out, I can tell. He's stressed out and freaking out. And he is, was calling me a lot. And, I feel like in a weird way I'm his therapist sometimes, or I'm trying to give him counsel, which feels very, okay, now here's another confession. They're getting older, they're having these issues. I'm now, I'm 39. I feel like I'm the adult and they're getting older. And is it wrong that there's a part of me that kind of likes this a little bit? I know that's terrible to say this, but I think back to those moments where I'm the little kid and they're yelling at me because I pooped my pants or something. And now I'm the only one who can lift anything right now. And I there's a part of me that's like, well, all right. The tables have turned. How do you like them apples? They were great parents, and they did nothing wrong, all right? They did nothing wrong. They were great. They did a fantastic job. But I got to say, it's kind of, it's kind of nice. There's this weird, oh, you got to come to me now. All right, well, I'll help you. Sure, I'll pick you up off the floor. That's no problem. By the way, before I pick you up off the floor, remember that time you got really mad because I tripped over the dresser drawer that opens up to the bed, and I broke the drawer because I was playing with a friend, and I got really excited, and I broke the door, and you got mad at me because you had to come in and screw it back in. Remember that time? You got really mad, got yelled? Yeah. Remember that? Yeah, interesting. How's the floor down there? How is it down there? How's the weather down there? I'm not saying that is what I'm doing. I'm not doing that. I'm 100% being there for them. I am not that person. I'm not a dick. I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you, I'm reporting how I feel. That's all I'm saying. Now I'm terrified that this will be used against me in a court of law somehow. And that I should delete this, which tells me I should not delete this. I am putting this out there. Court of law. What am I going to do? I want them, I want them to be happy. But what I know about my mom is I don't want her to rot somewhere. I know that she likes to be an active person. She wants to be able to get up and move. I know she's not going to want to be in bed the rest of her life or stuck in a nursing home the rest of her life. So that terrifies me. And why do I keep saying you know? You don't know. No one knows. Now, this ended up being 20 minutes. A lot to unpack here. A lot to unpack. I hate that phrase. I heard it on another podcast I've heard people talking about. There's a lot to unpack here. This isn't luggage. This is life. There's a lot to unpack here. What am I, a Samsonite case? I'm splitting hairs. So, and then, I'm telling this to my boss and to other people, and they're like, not other people, I'm telling this to my boss, and she's like, go out there right now, be with them. And I talked to them about it, and the problem is, my mom's got the vaccine. My dad does not have the vaccine yet. And I don't want to go out there until at least 2 out of 3, unless they have the vaccine. My dad doesn't want me to come out until I get the vaccine. So I want to at least wait for that to happen. But here's the other thing I want to confess. I keep saying this over and over again, and I feel like a terrible person for saying this, but I don't want to be a nurse. And I feel horrible for saying that, but it's true. I don't want to be a nurse. So I don't know. There's really not much going out there, there's not much I can do. I am not a physical therapist. This was why I decided not to be a physical therapist. I'm a theater major. So if part of the physical therapy involves writing a play about it, I'm your guy. But I don't think that's going to happen. But that, I found another reason for being a theater major. Nobody calls on you for a favor, ever. Lawyers, hey, can I get some free legal advice? Doctors, hey, can I get some free legal advice? Theater major, no one has yet to call me and go, hey, can you help me mount a production of Man of La Mancha? No member of my family has ever had that as a major issue. Hey, can you help me interpret Shakespeare? The closest thing my family has done to that has been, we're just going to do Shakespeare ourselves by how we live. And now my family consists of literally homicide, suicide, the loss of the mind. Like now that I think about it, my family has managed to incorporate every single Shakespearean tragedy into my family existence. Right, my mom right now, and I think my great-grandfather, they're going to go the route of King Lear. We're going to lose the mind. That's what's going to happen there. That's great. Let's see. My uncle was shot to death by his wife. So that's hearkening a little bit to Hamlet. There's a little bit of the revenge tragedy going on. All the family members in the same household killing each other. That's fun. That's great. Then my poor cousin, he killed himself. That's, that happened in Romeo and Juliet. That's a thing. Othello killed himself at the end. Yeah, we're covering all of the major Shakespearean tragedies in my family, and now I'm paranoid. Like which tragedy do I get to go through? Can I pick one? Can mine be a comedy? Could I at least get one of the problem plays for me personally? Maybe. I don't know. Well, actually, the problem plays are sometimes worse than the tragedies. Let's root for comedy. Can I end up with a comedy? Can I get that? What tragedy? What am I going to get? I'm terrified now. What's left? Titus Andronicus? Am I going to be fed to my cousins? Am I going to be killed and my corpse is going to be fed to my cousins? Is that somehow going to happen? Can we not have can we stop with the Shakespearean tragedies in this family? Please. I beg you. Well, this podcast has gone on longer than I thought. I needed to get this off my chest. Let me just close by saying, I am genuine in that I love my mother, and I want her to get better. And I love my father, and I want him to get better. And I want us all to get along again. But I share this because I need to talk through it. And I want to be on. I don't want to lie anymore to the world. I want to be honest to the world. I want to be honest in what I'm doing. If the stand-up has taught me nothing else, it's that the honesty is the best policy. So I am being honest now when I'm telling you all the things I'm feeling about this, in the hopes that I can find some humor in it and maybe you can laugh. That's all I want, is for you to take this shit show of a family and find a way to find some humor. So we can turn this into some gold. I can turn this into a book deal, people. Good night.